All right, good afternoon, everyone. It is our Wednesday weather update, and we start today with the weather impact alert. I'm 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins, and
I'm meteorologist Colleen Campbell, and happy Wednesday.
And we're talking rain. We're talking afternoon showers and thunderstorms. We're talking actually really, it's a typical southeast wind pattern. So these are, back in the day we used to talk about how you set your watch to these storms. We're getting those for today. But some of them will be a little bit on the heavier side, so I guess we're going to have to go with the weather impact alert. Let's go out to it right now. The timing for this has been in the afternoons. It's today, 1 p.m. through 9 p.m., tomorrow, 1 p.m. through 9 p.m. Nothing really out of the ordinary for this time of the year. There is a little bit of extra moisture up above us, and so the excessive rainfall threat, the threat for some minor flooding, that's there. But if you saw what we saw yesterday in eastern Hillsborough County and into parts of Pasco and central and western Polk County, kind of something similar out there right now. There's a live look outside right now. You can see this is from downtown Tampa. We're looking off towards the south and the east there. That's where the line is developing. Air temps very warm. We've warmed things up, 93 degrees in Tampa, feels like 103, but we have the sea breezes coming across, and you can see that line that starts over there on the east coast, and that's the east coast sea breeze. But notice the line up in Hernando, Citrus, Pasco counties. That's the west coast sea breeze. And when we have a southeast wind, we're going to go over this today, but when we have a southeast wind, it keeps our sea breeze tied here along the coast, and it brings the east coast sea breeze over to us. And then when they come together, which is going to be eastern Hillsborough County, that I-75 corridor this afternoon, that's when we're going to see expanding of showers and thunderstorms. And that's where someone's going to be a little bit heavy at times, and that's going to be right when you're driving or trying to get home on I-75 and I-4, all those areas. So let's start with the radar right now. We're going to zoom in on some of the storms that you're seeing in southeastern parts of Hillsborough County. These are a little bit on the heavier side. You can see plenty of lightning.
I was going to say, a lot of lightning down there, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a summertime thing that, we know we get storms in the afternoon, but you got to be mindful, especially as we get into the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Working outdoors, the kids outside, when thunder roars, go indoors. I mean, that's a saying for a reason, because you see most of this lightning is basically in the vicinity of where the storm is, but you're going to get some strikes that are out here. I mean, look at some of these out here that are behind the storm, in front of the storm. Lightning can go almost 20 miles outside of the storm.
Yeah. And a lot of those lightning injuries that we typically see are people that were doing yard work outside, or those kids that may have been at a game with the parents. A lot of men, surprisingly, Bobby, get those injuries with the lightning. I wonder why, right? They're outside.
We can't remember thunder roars go indoors.
I'm not going inside.
Something like that, yeah. Oh, that ain't nothing. But seriously,
careful.
This is a lot of lightning. And one of the other things is when we see this, we look for hail, because hailstones are banging around up there in the clouds, and that creates static electricity, and that can create more lightning than normal. And so I could just see right there we're going to see some hail just because of looking at that lightning. This is, I'm expecting P to perhaps penny size. That is about penny size hail right there.
Yeah.
On State Road 62, that's just east of Parrish, and this is, let's go back to the radar again. This is all going to be moving off slowly towards the west. You see this line, let me go back here frame by frame. You see this line here on the right-hand side, this right here? That is a little bit of the East Coast sea breeze, but it's also an outflow boundary from the storms that have popped up. Watch this thing race off to the west. And as it does, it's going to interact with these storms and make them bigger. Ready? Here we go. Getting closer. Gets to those storms.
Boom, yeah.
And it really enhances them. So right now it's sitting right here in this area, right in here. And in fact, that will extend basically all the way up. See it going up the west of Plant City right now. If you're in the Plant City area, you may have noticed even just now you saw a gust of wind. Temps might even drop just a little bit. That's the boundary from these storms that you see out there in Legoland area, Winter Haven, that is pushing that cooler air in this direction. But what's firing up here in, just east of downtown, this is over in the Brandon area, Carrollwood, and up towards the Veterans, the north end of the Veterans Expressway, those will all start to get enhanced and expand as we go through the next 45 minutes to an hour, okay? And all this is going to push back towards the coast through about 8:30, 9 o'clock this evening. Similar to what we saw yesterday, but we will get some heavier downpours start to fill in here, I'd say in, just about another 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, this is great for those coastal locations that have really been dry. Newest drought monitor comes out tomorrow, but the cutoff for all that data on Tuesdays. So we should be chipping away. We had that drought busting rain last week and now we're getting some more. But don't forget, for everybody watching, that cutoff Tuesday. So all the rain that we're receiving today, not going to be on the next drought monitor. So that's just something to consider. But those areas that have been drier really benefiting from this rain. And the weather impact alert, it's not always about severe weather. It's also an inconvenience. And that's why we have it during those peak hours when many of you are probably traveling. If you are getting ready to head home from work, just be aware that along some of those major roadways, you could have some ponding and some slippery roads just from any heavy rain that we get.
I mean, 2 to 3 inches. In fact, even more than that in northern Citrus County. Today, just from these storms that we're seeing out there right now, you can see them basically slow movers. And what will happen is they rain themselves out because they lose energy underneath because they drag down that cooler air. But the outflow boundaries come down, hit the ground, spread out, and you'll see the storm start to develop elsewhere in the vicinity. And that's exactly what's happening. Remember, in this area here, we still have the sea breeze coming across. Okay, this line that you're seeing down here, see that? It actually extends right up into here. You see that right there? So that has to come and interact with these. That will help to flare up these, especially along I-75 here between, let's say, 5 and 6 o'clock. I think we'll see some of the heaviest rain right in that area there. Now, the bigger picture is starting to show a little bit more of the southeast winds, and rainfall will start to pile up more on the west coast than what we've seen on the East Coast. So you can see the East Coast numbers there. Not a whole lot. Just look at you're looking for blues, and you don't see a whole lot. You got a little bit here east of Avon Park, but that's nothing compared to the almost 3 to 4 inches we've seen just north of Crystal River, right? And what will happen is most of the rain that you see over on the East Coast is done. Right, that's a live look at the radar now, and they don't have much left because the winds are all blowing off in this direction. Everything's blowing off towards the north and the west with those southeast winds. That's the change of the pattern. That's what we were talking about over the last several days about how our rain chances were going to go up a little bit because we're finally getting those afternoon winds to come, what's even in the morning, but that southeast flow to dominate our afternoon storms and push them towards the west coast. When you have a light wind out of the southwest, it's going to push everything to the east. If you have very light winds, even out of the south, you end up getting, more than anything else, you have more winds in the center part of the state, more rain, I should say, in the center part of the state. And we'll go over that as well, too. But we look for these subtle changes in those wind patterns to figure out where you're going to expect the best chance for rain.
Yeah, and we did an explainer on this before in years past because people always ask this question, right, Bobby? Why is it not raining on top of my house? They see all the rain when we have that southwesterly wind for inland locations, which has been the case recently. Now things are switching the script, right? We have those southeasterly winds, so now we're getting that rain closer to the coast. So it's all about that sea breeze and the regime that we enter into. And there's different numbered regimes. There's right now we're in regime 6. So that's all where that area high pressure is focused, and how the winds blow in. That's really where you're going to see these showers and storms flare up. So that's what Bobby's bringing up right now. Actually, I think that's on on my computer. But so what you're seeing there is that area high pressure, and all the lines that you're seeing, that those pressure lines that are kind of extending out from that center high. That's what we're looking for when we talk about the regimes, and that's how we can kind of get a better idea of where it's going to rain depending on the pattern. This would be regime number 4. Let's go to regime number 6 because that's what we're into this week. Go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, well, you skipped over the part where it shows you where the rain is. So can we back that one up? Maybe can you go back?
Yeah, I kind of got trigger happy here.
Yeah, right at the end there. That yellow dashed line, that is where the western edge of that high pressure that's sitting out over the Atlantic is, right? The winds go clockwise around that high. So we look for that, what we call a ridge axis, where that yellow dotted line is. Because if that's below us, we're going to get southwest winds like you see there. Now hit the button and watch what happens where all the rain goes when we see southwest winds. That was May. Last week we were talking about, Colleen was telling you about how warm May was and how dry it was, right? That was most of May. We did not get a lot of rain to cool the water off, the Gulf, right? And we had the wind coming in off of that very warm water. So it kept us very warm in the mornings, warm in the afternoon, and all of the rain went over to the East Coast. Now,
I-95 especially. I remember I kept saying, everybody that was watching during the weekend shows especially, I said, if you're traveling to the other coast along I-95, the First Coast, the Treasure Coast, they've been the ones seeing the rain in May. And now here we are, we're getting into this other pattern.
Yep. Now go ahead and
All right.
so what's happened is now
Now
this
we
high
can-
pressure offshore has moved further to the north.
Yeah.
Now look where that ridge axis is. See how it's to our north? That's what we're looking at when we're looking at what looks like kind of complicated weather maps. It's not that complicated, but that is a key thing that we watch. Not only where that wind is coming from, and now you can see it's coming from the Bahamas across South Florida, across our area, right? That's a southeast wind. But how strong is that wind? Is it enough to blow the storms over here? And right now it is. It's also bringing in some moisture. Now look where all of the rain's going to pile up on the west coast.
Yeah.
So this is one of the main regimes that gives us the best chance for those afternoon showers and storms here on the Tampa side of the state, right? The southwest wind's going to blow everything on the east side, and when you have light winds kind of in the middle of a southeast versus a southwest wind, you end up with more storms right around the middle of the state. So if we want rain here in the Tampa area, we want regime 6. We want that southeast wind to blow those afternoon storms in place, and that's exactly what we want. Now back over here on my computer, we've got plenty of warm air to get the storms going. So you can see 90 right along the coast, but look at Lutz. 96 degrees, 95 in Land O'Lakes, 93 in Ruskin. I show you these numbers because this is energy for these storms that are building. You can see the mid-70s out in Bartow and Winter Haven. That is from the rain that came through. So the storms that are coming across right now are moving into that Wesley Chapel area, Tampa, Riverview. Well, Riverview's got a crazy number there that cooled down, but you can see that most of those areas are in the low to mid 90s. And so we're going to have some pretty good storms as it comes through. This is the sea breeze, and this is what you were talking about, Colleen. If we get that light southwesterly flow, it blows everything over to the East Coast,
Ooh,
including the sea breeze.
I like this graphic. I haven't,
yeah.
I haven't seen this one. I like this.
But that's our sea breeze moving
Yes.
over to the East Coast, and you can see where all of the rain is. And that's when you have a light southwest flow. We just kind of explained the bigger picture to you, showing you that ridge axis. This is a little bit macro scale, right? And you can see basically the southeast flow. Guess what's going to happen? That green you see on the left is going to stay over there, but the green on your right is going to get blown to the left. That's the effect that the wind has, and that's why it plays such a big role. And then where they come together is where you see the best chance for the rain. And that's the one that we're in right now. As I mentioned, that's really the only one that gives us the best chance for rain. I mean, we get rain, don't get me wrong, but if you notice, if it's a light and variable one, it tends to push right into the spine of the state.
Yeah, which, so Polk County, recently had a lot of rain, and then even last night they had some significant rain out that way too, which I believe we have some pictures and video to show you from Polk County. There we go. Yeah, so this was submitted by Brian Thornton, and look at that, wow. So again, some of these downpours, they really can drop a lot of rain and just kind of train over the same area. And as Bobby said earlier, they just really rain themselves out, but especially poor drainage areas, you're going to see that pile up of the water. And of course, we have to remind you, don't ever drive through water of unknown depths.
Turn around, don't drown.
It's just not worth it. You know, I mean, even if you knew the area very well, you don't know what lies beneath there. There could be some debris, broken glass. I mean,
the road could be washed out, that type of thing.
Yeah, so just don't do it.
So one of the things that we look for here also is how much moisture is in the atmosphere. So we've kind of showed you the big picture, where the high is, where that ridge axis is, and we show you how it works with the sea breezes getting moved over. Then we look how much moisture is coming here, because we know now we're going to have more of the storms over our neck of the woods. This line right here explains how much total moisture is in the atmosphere if you squeezed out about a cubic meter, basically. Well, a meter, all the way up and down, right? When that number is up around 2 inches or higher, you're going to get some heavier showers, heavier downpours. And you notice this is models trying to say we get a little bit of dry air Monday and the Tuesday working in, okay? But when you get these numbers really high, you're going to end up with a small chance for some flooding. So let's talk about the forecast model. Here's where we are now. This is about where the rain is now. Now let's go out in time and stop it right here. This is about 5:30, 5:30. I think it might be a little bit sooner. But you see eastern Hillsborough, Plant City, Lakeland, eastern Pasco, Hernando areas, all the way down to eastern Manatee County. Those are where, in fact, look at the winds. You see these winds right here?
Very clear.
Coming in.
Yep.
These winds are coming this way. The sea breeze line is coming together right there. So you're going to watch this flare up. Look at that. And then, because the overall flow is out of the southeast, it pushes everything back towards the coast. This is about 8 o'clock tonight. That is the best time. 7:30 to 8:30 is the best time for showers and storms for Sarasota, Bradenton, St. Pete, all of Pinellas County, western, we're talking western Pasco, Newport Richey, and Hudson, Trinity as well, and then things will dry out. All right, so kind of what I call that the cleanup set. I don't know if a lot of folks know that, because when you're surfing, you wait for the waves to come in, and then every once in a while, every about 10, 15 minutes or so, there'll be a big set that breaks way outside, and if you don't get out there in time, it's just going to roll and kind of try and push everybody back towards the beach. That's what I call about this sea breeze coming from the East Coast, coming all the way back and just cleaning house, coming all the way to the Gulf, and that's what we'll see today. This is tomorrow. So tomorrow starts dry just like we did today. I mean, yesterday we had those heavy rains in the morning. That's when we were transitioning. But now tomorrow we're going to start dry. This is around 1:30. We're going to see some afternoon showers and storms pop up along the coast. Look at the wind. It's actually a little bit more from the south and south-southeast. And when that happens, instead of getting the sea breeze stuck out here, you're going to get it on the coast. So tomorrow I'm thinking 1:30, we'll get some showers and storms to pop up. Here comes that East Coast sea breeze. See the winds? There it is. And watch what happens. It's going to continue to push towards the west, well, really the northwest, and bring those showers and storms over. That's around 8:30 on your Thursday evening. And then things, again, will dry down. And it's perfect because we're in the low to mid 90s, and you get that come through, and it drops the air temperatures down, and it feels actually a little bit more comfortable outside for a little bit. You walk outside, you're like, well, it's not too bad out here now.
Yeah, once that rain comes.
We're not used to that. We've been in such a drought through May. We weren't getting anything.
I know.
May's still dry, but we weren't getting any rain to cool us down. So this will help a little bit. Now, looking ahead even into Friday, I do think we'll see scattered showers and storms on Friday. We do not have a weather impact alert for Friday. You can see the overall coverage is a little less for storms, and the amount of moisture in the atmosphere is a little less as well. So it doesn't mean we're not going to see rain. It's summer in Florida. We're going to get rain at least somewhere in our area each day. But that weather impact alert, it's our way of giving you a heads up that this is a little bit different than normal. Yesterday morning, that would be a heads up, right? You need to know that. We're going from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's when most of those storms will fall. After that, everything tends to fall apart. And really, minor flooding, like Colleen just showed you those pictures there, that's the main issue that we'll run into. But we've seen some small hail, and with that cause some gusty winds. 40, 50 mile per hour winds are possible with some of these storms.
Yeah, and anybody that just moved to the area and hasn't been living, I mean, some folks that have been here for a very long time, they know all these patterns, they know the regimes, but somebody that just moved here, you're probably saying, I haven't had rain in weeks. Well, yeah, we have a pattern change, and that's what we've been kind of advertising throughout the week. It's just a change up in the pattern. So where you're going to see the rain is going to be different from what we had a couple weeks ago. That doesn't mean that the areas in Polk County will be necessarily drier, but it does mean that the coastal areas that have been hurting for the rain will start to catch up. Here's some ingredients when we talk about rainy season. These are things that we look for. So again, we have that Bermuda high. We just went over the high pressure and how that plays a big role, and that kind of turns into the winds that we look for our rainy season. This can differ for your location, but of course where we're located, the east to southeast winds are most important. Also, we have to have a water temperature of 82 degrees or higher. That's for the Gulf, which we are beyond that right now.
87.
Yeah. All that warm air, that ample moisture, that tropical humidity, that's all here, right? So that really leads to downpours as well. And then, of course, that plays into the dew points when we have the dew points in the 70s, which, again, we've been there. And the moisture content. So Bobby was just showing you that nice graph that shows the precipitable water. And I always say, if you just think of a column in the atmosphere, just think of a little slice, and a tube, if you will, and you just compressed it, squeezed it as much as you could, how much water would be in the bottom of that tube, right? And we look for that amount when we get these nice significant downpours and more of a steady rain. So that's our rainy season ingredients.
Just looking at that list, it's like check, check, check. We got all of that. Take a look at the expected rain over the next 5 days or so, and you'll notice that the coverage is mainly in our neck of the woods. Really good news there, because we're still in a moderate drought. But you see 80% chance for tomorrow, 80 to 90% really. Then that drops down to about 50% as we get into Friday and Saturday, and then even less than that as we get into Sunday and Monday. So Sunday, by the way, is Father's Day, of course. There will be some afternoon showers and storms, but the overall coverage and the heavy rainfall, I don't think, it just won't be as widespread. And so that's why things are looking a lot better. In fact, here's a look at where the most rain will fall. This is the forecast through Sunday into Monday. Yeah. And you can see those blues, even some purples on there, but much more on the west coast of Florida than there will be on the east coast. So it's our turn They've had quite a bit of rain, but it is something that we will be looking at. Now, here's our forecast. So for the next 12 hours, we're going to be watching for that high rain chance, okay? So through this evening hours, and if you're I-75 west, I mean, I-75 east, you're already starting to see some of the rain. But if you're west of there, between now, I'd say 5:15, 5:30-ish, through about 8:30, 9 o'clock, that's the best time for all of the rain. It'll be heavy at first, and then you get this real high level precip that falls in the back end, and that could last through about 9:30 to 10 o'clock right along the immediate coast. But most of the convection, the big thunderstorms, will be between about 5 o'clock and 8 o'clock this evening. Temperatures, you can see they drop down really cool just because the air's coming rain cool. It's coming from up there, right?
Yeah.
Now tomorrow, same deal, same coverage. Weather impact alert starts at 1 o'clock. Remember, tomorrow we will see 1 or 2 more storms along the immediate coast. I'm thinking Pinellas, Western Hillsborough, Western Pasco, Western Manatee, right around lunchtime, 1:30, 2:30 time frame. And then we still have that cleanup set. We still have that majority of storminess to come in after about 5 o'clock in the evening. And then it'll push off and we'll dry up. You can even see that here in our marine forecast. Look at the water. Actually, it's 86 degrees right now. But notice, you'll see that breeze right there, that yellow? That is the storms coming through at about 7 o'clock. Right? That's what that yellow coloring is showing you is the wind. And that is wind coming down out of the thunderstorms at around 7 o'clock and then pushing in. So
not the best time for boating.
Yeah, no. Well, and you know what? As to your point, Colleen, as you were saying, if you've been around here long enough, you know you're boating. This is the time of year with this particular setup that you have to be looking inland in the afternoon and just watching the radar because it's coming, and you'll see everybody kind of heading into port pretty quickly.
Yeah, pay attention to your surroundings. If everybody else is heading in, maybe you should too. You know?
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
7-day forecast looks pretty good. I think we'll take that weather impact alert off for Friday. We'll just have it for tomorrow. You want to shift some gears here? You know what? Before we do that, let me take you one more time. I want to show you the live radar out here, kind of give you what's the lay of the land right here. The storms now are coming across Polk County. They're getting into just about that I-75 corridor, especially when you get up into Hernando and Citrus County. Here it comes. That's a look over the left. See them all moving that way? It's just about ready to come together. And Hillsborough County especially is seeing a ton of it. And those are hail makers. Okay, so Parrish, Sun City Center, Fishhawk is getting it right now. Yeah, they're really getting it. But Brandon, you're up next, and eventually over to Carrollwood. The Nonesassa, I still think you, God, it's hard to say the Nonesassa and talk at the same time. I still think you get some rain out of this because it's going to fill in. But I think mainly to your west, like closer to the coast, is where those storms are going to fill in. And that's that I-75 or 275 corridor, and then up towards Carrollwood, eventually West Chase, and then up in the northwest Hillsborough into northern parts of Pinellas County. Yeah,
south of Hudson. I was going to say, if you're driving along I-75, if that's for your commute home, yeah, it's going to be a little wet out there.
So some good rain, good thunderstorms coming through the area. And again, this should all be done by about 9:30 or so tonight. All right, want to shift gears here. Let's do a little bit of a tropical update.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it has been
nice and quiet.
I know you don't necessarily want to say that every now and then. There are some tropical waves down to the south. You can see one here. It's like another one coming off of Africa. But you do not see much going on at all out there.
Yeah, the tropical Atlantic basin. I mean, look how quiet it is. There's some, so everybody that's watching from home, all right, so Bobby has his cursor there. That whole line, those little seedlings, but north of that, and that's really the steering flow. You see everything kind of moving towards the Pacific there. That's where all the action is. But above that, north of that, it's quiet. We have that high pressure that's keeping us safe and sound, plus Saharan dust still out there too. And you can see all the winds. Bobby's pointing out the wind shear there, kind of the direction of
So dust is out there. Dust makes it harder. It dries up the atmosphere a little bit. All of these colors you see here, especially in the Caribbean, that is a ton of wind shear. You're not going to get anything to develop in those environments. The Gulf doesn't have quite as much. It has had it for a while. It kind of ebbs and flows, right? Comes and goes. But you can see there's a lot of wind shear coming off of Mexico in the Western Gulf, and some of that will get down in here. So that keeps things actually fairly quiet, which obviously we love. And if you look at the extended, so the Weather Prediction puts out this extended forecast, and this one goes out through the 24th of June. And you can see we are kind of watching the Bay of Campeche there just a little bit, but more than anything else, it's over in the Pacific side.
Yeah, yep. Which we went over this the last time we had one of these live weather streams. the Pacific, they start their season earlier for a reason. You know, they
Yeah.
usually are active before we are. So that's pretty typical. And Bobby's just showing you the second week out. So we just looked at next week, and then this is the following week. And again, it's really that bullseye in the Pacific that we don't have to worry about. So.
Yeah, so this doesn't mean we won't see anything develop, but what
Right.
it means right now is we're not expecting much activity through the end of June.
Yeah.
Which, wow, we'll take that. We will definitely take that.
Yes, we will. Yeah.
All right, so that's it for us today, guys. Thank you very much for watching us. 10 Tampa Bay is coming up now live on Channel 10 and 10 Plus. Thanks for joining us here. We'll see you next week.
We are following breaking news as we come on air. Tampa police investigating a bomb threat in the downtown area. At this moment, we know this started after an anonymous caller claimed to have planted an explosive device outside the First Horizon Bank. Right now, though, officers are on the scene searching that area, but say there is not an active threat to public safety. We have a crew on the way. We will keep you updated as we learn more. You're watching 10 Tampa Bay at 5. I'm Frank Wiley.
And I'm Dave Wagner. In for Courtney today. Right now, our 10 Tampa Bay meteorologists are tracking a weather impact alert, taking you live to Lakeland this evening. 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskin's keeping an eye on the storms and where they're headed right now. Bobby?
Eastern Hillsborough County exiting western Polk County there right now, and this line goes all the way up and down. As a result, we have a weather impact alert because some of these are a little bit heavier, and we have some small hail in there with some gusty winds. 1 to 9 p.m., which obviously we're halfway through that, but I do think most of it's done by about 9 p.m., and we'll do this again for tomorrow. So now, if you live in southeastern Hillsborough County, even eastern Hillsborough County, central, and you have one of those spots that tends to flood when you get 2 or 3 inches of rainfall, you could get that today. Look at all the lightning that's out there as well, too. That's an indication that we're seeing some small hail. And generally, everything that we've seen on the radar is about pea size, maybe just a little bit bigger than that. Not all of these have it, but this one near Fishhawk does, and this one down here near Parish does as well, too. This area in Carrollwood, Seminole Heights, this will expand. Okay, that storm will expand. It'll get into northwestern Hillsborough, West Chase, Odessa, eventually Trinity. But the heavier rain we had earlier up here in central Citrus County is now falling apart, and these storms will continue to build down towards the south. All of this is pushing back towards the coast. So yes, we will get some in Sarasota and Bradenton and Manatee, but you can see the East Coast is quieted down because that East Coast sea breeze is coming all the way across. Again, most of this will be out of here by about 9:30 tonight. That's when our weather impact alert will expire. But look what it does to our temperatures. We're in the low to mid 90s right now before it rains, and we'll drop down quickly to near 80, mid 70s for tonight.
All right, Bobby, you can always stay informed on the latest weather updates with 10 Tampa Bay Plus, where you can find live radar, weather cameras, and extended forecasts with our team of meteorologists. You can download 10 Tampa Bay Plus on your TV or streaming device and watch for free.
I want to take you back outside because you are looking live now at Tampa International Airport this evening. Right now, travelers are stranded, even scrambling to find their way home. This after one airline announced it's ending operations immediately.
Silver Airways had a clear message for its customers today. Don't go to the airport. 10 Tampa Bay's Asha Patel joins us live right now from Tampa International Airport with how this travel day is unfolding. Asha?
That's right, and tonight some passengers feel like they were just left in the dark by Silver Airways because all the airline told passengers is if you have a flight scheduled, contact your credit card company or your travel agent for a refund.
No, that's what we're about.
Canceled, canceled, canceled.
It's just frustrating.
All across the board, a word no traveler wants to see.
We just came from another flight, so this was my flight home.
Anastasia Chakowski is someone who relies on Silver Airways to get back home to Pensacola. But tonight, she's looking for another flight yet again.
It happened last year, I think it was Thanksgiving last year that it canceled.
The airline announced a bankruptcy back in December, but tonight ceasing all operations, canceling flights throughout the state.
I woke up to the news, unfortunately, that I will not have a return flight back to Tampa,
forcing Angela Furman, who also depends on Silver Airways to get to Pensacola, to rebook her flight to Tampa on Monday.
I actually found another ticket back home, but I had to end up paying double the price as my round trip just to get a one-way.
Furman says she used Silver Airways for the last 7 months.
That's my plan.
For its convenience and price. But all of that changes now.
Silver was so cheap, I would spend less than $150 on a round trip back home from Tampa to Pensacola.
As a frequent flyer with Silver Airways, Furman thought the airline would offer more options when it comes to getting a refund or rebooking.
Hopefully I get this dispute taken care of with my credit card because that's the route I had to take anyways. So we'll see. Hopefully I get back to Tampa in one piece on a plane.
Tampa International Airport tells me that Silver Airways had 3 different destinations from this airport, and that was Pensacola, Fort Lauderdale, and Key West. And they are encouraging those who want to fly to those places to visit their website to figure out which airlines can take them there.
Oh, Asha, the inconvenience leaves you shaking your head. What about the airline's employees? This impacts them too, I imagine.
That's right. Now, my photographer and I have been here all day, and we haven't seen a single employee at the counter that you see over my shoulder. So I reached out to Silver Airways to ask them how many employees are affected. I'm still waiting for an answer. Reporting live from Tampa International Airport, Asha Patel, 10 Tampa Bay.
Right now, a substitute teacher who was working at Jennings Middle School in Thanota-Sassa is facing charges accused of showing sexual images to students. They say 22-year-old Chase Rush sent the photos to four seventh graders using the airdrop feature and showed several others in the classroom as well. The content included nudity and bestiality. They say he also admitted to showing it to his 12-year-old relative. The sheriff's office says Rush was employed by Kelly Education, a staffing company, and is not a school district employee. Right now, police want to know if the Pinellas County man had inappropriate contact with you or someone you know. You see him right here. Just hours ago, a judge set bond at more than $200,000 for Bruce Wayne Higgins. Police arrested him yesterday after a months-long investigation into an incident in April. They say he paid an Uber to bring two 16 and 17-year-old girls to his home, offered them alcohol and drugs, and planned to sexually exploit them. Before his arrest yesterday, investigators say he invited who he thought was a 15-year-old girl to his house for sex. Police want to know if he's done this to anyone you know. You can call Pinellas Park Police to share information.
Tonight, new details. A Citrus County man has been arrested in a gambling conspiracy involving the Osceola County Sheriff. Sheldon Weatherholt is accused of establishing the LLCs for the illegal operation and did business with one of the other four co-defendants. Right now, he's in jail, but a judge granted him a bond of $100,000 this morning. Suspended Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez remains in jail on a $1 million bond.
A major update this evening, the 2022 murder of 14-year-old Alexia Alexander. Jury selection is now underway for the trial of Ronnie Walker, the man accused of shooting and killing her. Now, if convicted, Walker faces the death penalty, and with opening arguments now just 10 days away, 10 Tampa Bay's Adoria Chumba breaks down the key pieces of evidence jurors will soon have to consider.
It won't bring my baby girl back, but it would give me some peace that he's off the streets.
That's Alexia Alexander's mom, Ashley, speaking at a news conference on the arrest of Ronnie Walker in July 2022. Alexia's body was found 2 months before near West Florabraska Avenue in Tampa. Shell casings and a charger at the scene, but not Alexia's cell phone. Her phone was later tracked via GPS to a dark sedan connected to Walker. Investigators say nearby surveillance footage captured the same vehicle parked near the lot with its headlights off. The car was later found at Tampa General Hospital. Inside, investigators say they found traces of blood, which DNA tests confirmed belonged to Alexia and Walker. Investigators also say additional surveillance footage shows Alexia getting into Walker's car near his home shortly before she was killed.
To take a baby's life, you have to be heartless.
Alexia's mother on the first anniversary of her daughter's murder.
I will never have a closure of why he took my daughter's life at 14.
Before Alexia's murder, Walker had a 2010 manslaughter conviction for the fatal shooting of Elaine Caldwell during a 2003 home invasion. His original life sentence was reduced to 8 years through a plea deal and was released after serving 5.
This is an animal. They just need to just keep him locked up. For them to just do everything they got to do in their power to not let this man walk again on the street.
And prosecutors hope jurors feel the same way when they push for capital punishment at trial. Now, a second suspect, Robert Creed, who was in the car, is facing charges of accessory after the fact and may testify against Walker. Adoria Chumba, 10 Tampa Bay.
And court officials say the attorneys are aiming to have a jury seated by Friday, with opening arguments expected to begin on Monday, and we'll have continuing coverage throughout.
I want to turn now to the latest on the unrest in Los Angeles. This as protesters continue to stand off against state and federal troops over President Donald Trump's immigration policy. Tonight, the U.S. Northern Command says hundreds of Marines are on standby just outside the city getting training on how to use non-lethal weapons. An overnight curfew has been in effect in parts of downtown, all to stop potentially violent agitators and run-ins with LAPD.
This was provoked by the White House. I posit that maybe we are part of a national experiment to determine how far the federal government can go in reaching in and taking over power from a governor.
Today on a New York Post podcast, Mr. Trump says he feels more emboldened in his second term.
I can be stronger on an attack on Los Angeles. I think bringing in the National Guard 4 years ago or 8 years ago would have been more difficult.
The mayor says the curfew covers about 1 square mile of downtown Los Angeles. It will likely continue for a few more days.
Taking a live look at the U.S. Capitol, Washington, D.C., where right now U.S. senators are debating President Trump's spending package labeled the Big Beautiful Bill Act. It faces pushback, though, from Democrats and some within the Republican Party who say it will balloon the deficit. One of the harshest critics of the president's bill has been billionaire Elon Musk, who called it a, quote, disgusting abomination. It's one of many comments hurled at the president over the weekend. And this morning, Musk posted on X that he regrets some of his posts attacking the president, saying they went too far. Tonight, budget talks continue here in Florida with lawmakers in Tallahassee working to beat a July 1st deadline despite a stalemate between the Florida House and Senate over key issues like sales and property taxes. The two chambers have agreed on pay raises for state employees. And coming up at 5:30, who's getting the biggest boost and what still needs to be done to avoid a government shutdown.
We have a reminder for drivers in Pinellas County. The Treasure Island Causeway Bridge, well, it will temporarily close tonight for repairs. That will reopen at 6 tomorrow morning. To get on the island, well, you can take 150th Avenue through Madeira Beach or Pasadena Avenue through St. Pete Beach.
In Manatee County, the popular Gulf Islands Ferry is extending its service to keep up with the increase in riders expected this summer. Starting next week, it will now run 5 days a week from Wednesday to Sunday. The ferry takes you from downtown Bradenton to Anna Maria Island. And still to come this evening, what the latest inflation report says about consumer prices as a judge rules Trump's tariffs can stay in place.
Next, a local deputy's road to recovery inspires a new law, how his story will help others get the benefits that he could not.
We want to update you on that anonymous bomb threat at the First Horizon Bank in Tampa. We are now told police have given the all clear there. An anonymous caller had claimed to have planted an explosive device outside the First Horizon Bank. Officers were on scene there searching the area, and they said there was no active threat to the public. We are told now the scene has been cleared.
Meantime, tonight we are learning one of the founders of the Beach Boys has died. Brian Wilson was 82 years old. Wilson's catalog includes hits like Surfing in the USA and Good Vibrations. More details about his death were not made available.
A Citrus County deputy critically hurt in the line of duty as the namesake of a new Florida law. Governor DeSantis just signed the bill named for Deputy Andy LaHara.
10 Tampa Bay's Eric Glasser explains the legislation expands who qualifies for benefits.
It was a tragedy that shook Citrus County. Well-liked Deputy Andy LaHara critically injured while directing traffic at a high school graduation. His family thought medical benefits would follow, but a gap in state law meant that while fallen officers' families were protected, those who survived devastating injuries were not.
And I said, until my last breath, I will continue to fight for him for anything he needs.
Now, a bittersweet victory for the LaHara family. The change they sought has become Florida law.
Okay, so
with the governor's signature, the Deputy Andy LaHara Act ensures that officers critically injured in the line of duty and their families get the coverage they deserve. The bill passed both the House and Senate unanimously.
I think I'm still in shock at the fact that we have now seen it to fruition.
LaHara's case also galvanized the Citrus County community. Fundraisers have helped pay the family's mortgage, and political consequences too, as voters cited the issue as a major reason that they replaced Sheriff Mike Pendergrast in the last election.
For me, it's all about helping others so that no one else is in the situation that we were put in.
To this day, Michelle LaHara posts prayer requests for her husband Andy online, and she says they are being answered. This new law, a positive step on his road to recovery. In Clearwater, Eric Glasser, 10 Tampa Bay.
Andy continues to receive treatment. His wife, Michelle, says they have told him that the law bearing his name has now been passed.
Taking a live look at Lakeland right now. You can see some of the storms off in the distance there. They've had rain out there, hail in other parts of the Tampa Bay area. 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskin's back with us. A lot going on, Bobby.
Yeah, this is the cleanup sets, right?
Yeah.
These afternoon showers and storms coming through. A couple of good ones out there. So let's get started right away. We have our weather impact alert in effect right now through 9 o'clock. This is our way here at 10 Tampa Bay of giving you a heads up that we're going to have some pretty good storms out there. It's not necessarily a warning or anything like that. The Weather Service issues those, and we pass those along. But this is our way of giving you a heads up to let you know to watch for it. 1 p.m. through 9 p.m., so we're halfway there. We will do this again tomorrow. The main threat is very heavy rainfall with flooding, minor street flooding, that type of thing. But hail and gusty winds, 50, 55 mile per hour winds are possible. Here's the line, and you can see it coming all the way down through Sarasota County. Now, Hillsborough has some of the strongest storms right now, and you can see it's really coming together. Brandon up just about to Thenona-Sassa. This is 75 right here, I-4, and then now getting out to Carrollwood. Look at the Seminole Heights area, Malfunction Junction right now, and just to the west of there. That's a big-time storm with some small hail coming through there. Fishhawk just about done with it at this point, but that means it's moving into Brandon. Look at the hail that we've seen. This is not all hail right now, but over the last 15 to 30 minutes, had a big hail down here to the south, just about an inch. And you can see we're getting generally around pea to penny size hail just west of 275 there in the Tampa area. Had some heavy rain up in the Citrus. That is finally falling apart, and you can see the same things happen as it drifts to the south in the central parts of Pasco County. Let's jump all the way down to Manatee and Sarasota County, and this is a really good thunderstorm. Look at the whole line exploding. That's the sea breezes coming together, and that's why we're watching for these stronger storms. Now, there's actually a severe thunderstorm warning for this one, which does clip DeSoto County, but look, the storm literally went right around the county line, and all of this is drifting off towards the north and the west, so we'll watch this for you. But the main threat for this one is large hail, and in fact, that size just went down, but we had radar estimates over an inch, almost an inch and a half. I'm glad to see that size has come down on the radar. Now, this is the lightning, and you can see we've shaded in the area where we've seen the lightning. Now, here at 10 Tampa Bay, we can show you where the lightning's going to go over the next 30 minutes, so you can see it. Watch this area right in here. right there just west of Seminole Heights. That's where it is now. And in fact, if I zoom in a little bit, you can see it starts to rebuild and build a little bit further towards the north, right up Dale Mabry. So for the next 30 to 45 minutes, where we're seeing the storms are going to meander, but everything is basically drifting back off towards the west. This is a live look in Tampa, looking to the southeast. You can see the port there, Harbor Island there, 93 degrees. That is getting ready to change because obviously we're going to cool things down. Most areas that have seen these storms have gone from the 90s to the 70s, and I expect that to be the case. Bartow, Wauchula, 77. Riverview at 74, while it's 93 in Tampa, upper 80s along the coast. All right, here's the timing for tonight. You can see it all pushing to the coast. Look at that. That is those storms expanding. Could get a severe thunderstorm warning in here. It would be for hail more than anything else. That's about 8 o'clock, and then after that, it turns to light rain and it falls apart. By 9 o'clock, we're just about done with all of this. Tomorrow, 1 or 2 storms along the coast. I think more than what we saw today, right around 1:30 to 2:30. But then we do the same thing. We have that east coast sea breeze coming over. Everything pushes to the coast, and we cool things off by the time we get to about 9 o'clock or so. So one more day of this. I think the coverage might be a little less tomorrow than what we see today, but it'll be close. So we'll keep our weather impact alert going through Thursday at 9 p.m. And then things on Friday, we'll see some afternoon showers and thunderstorms. But you can see our chances drop down, the coverage altogether. But we do keep it along the coast. We do keep a southeast wind. Look at your Father's Day on Sunday looking pretty good. Monday looks even drier than that. Now, southeast winds bring us these afternoon storms. They also bring us the heat, and we're going to keep that low 90s. Some areas will be even warmer than that, but those afternoon storms will help to cool us off.
Coming up at 5:30, Medical Breakthrough is providing a new way to protect the most vulnerable against one of the most common viruses.
And next, a local sheriff calls it Christmas in June as he connects with kids in his community, why he says it helps his deputies as much as it does those kids.
Fish for breakfast. Rods and reels and badges and smiles help build a connection for many kids in Polk County.
Yeah, Sheriff Grady Judd and the Polk County Sheriff's Office hosted their annual youth fishing event in Winter Haven. They say this is community connection. Under a Polk County sky, beneath the brim of dozens of hats, an imaginative snapshot.
Kind of like Christmas in June at the Sheriff's Office.
100 young faces paired with warm hearts behind badges.
I love it. My biggest thing getting into law enforcement was to help the community.
Deputy Ford and the rest of this squad patrol these waters and the many miles that house these kids. Deputies took an oath to oversee. They also work to understand.
We want to interface the deputies and the communities. We want the children to run to us when they need help.
Sheriff Grady Judd says the partnership reaches for kids who are sometimes pushed to the margins.
And we also have children that tell us, there's no food in my house. It is as fulfilling and exciting for us as it is the children.
These guiding hands center them.
It is really good so far. I've caught about 9 fish, a lot of catfish, bluegill, bass. Mr. Ford has been really helpful to me. Very kind person.
Everyone releases something.
Seeing the smile on his face, especially when he's reeling them in, that means the world to me.
Everyone leaves with something. And Sheriff Judd says this marks about 10 years for that event. They've partnered with Take a Kid Fishing and Phillips Bait and Tackle.
A lot of kids on the margins, no doubt. Toys were also provided for kids who participate in that event. It creates a relationship.
Yes, it does.
Police department,
That's
the sheriff's office, yeah. All right, well, coming up here, Florida families taking the fight over Medicaid cuts all the way to Capitol Hill. Still to come here, what's at stake for one local family as lawmakers battle over the budget bill.
And Florida employees might soon see their paychecks grow. In minutes, we break down which groups qualify for the raise.
Keeping you informed, prepared, and connected. You're watching 10 Tampa Bay.
Right now, as we come on air at 5:30, look at that if you can. Our weather impact team is tracking showers and storms moving across the Bay Area. That is a live look at Tampa International Airport, where it just started really coming down out there. Right now, we're under a weather impact alert. This is 10 Tampa Bay at 5:30. I'm Frank Wiley.
And I'm Dave Wagner. Let's get right over to 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins. Bobby, heavy rain and hail in parts of our area.
Yeah, some larger hail estimated by the radar earlier. Had a severe thunderstorm warning down to our south. That's now expired, but you can see this line of showers and thunderstorms drifting slowly back towards the coast, and where you see all this lightning especially, that's where you're going to see more of the chances for hail. So this area up here near Thenona, Sassa, that's 75 and 275 right there, especially in that region. I would expect penny to even almost nickel size hail in some of those storms. It's getting pretty big right here, right on the other side of the bridge. That's right over the airport. All of that lightning, there will be a ground stop, I'm sure, at the airport for a little while as all these storms move through the area. Up north, we've had it really coming together here in Pasco County, especially south of 52. And that will continue in the Land O'Lakes and Wesley Chapel area, and it's getting loud out there, I guarantee you that. Citrus and Hernando starting to lighten up as the storms are actually back building towards Sumter, but we've had almost 1 to 2 inches of rainfall in some of those areas. That severe thunderstorm warning was down to our south. That's what's left of it now. It kind of extended up here into parts of DeSoto County, but that's a good thunderstorm that will drift all the way back towards the coast from Venice to Sarasota between now. In fact, the coastal sections will have a better chance of it at about 6:45 to about 7:15. Once this is out of here by 8:30, 9:30 tonight, everything clears out. We calm down. We'll keep our weather impact alert in effect through 9 p.m. and then it'll be a quiet night overnight tonight. More storms tomorrow. I'll show you that coming up.
Turning now to other top stories making headlines this evening. First, travelers across Florida are stranded after Silver Airways abruptly announced it's ending all operations immediately. Flights have been canceled statewide, leaving passengers with little information and instruction to seek refunds through credit cards or travel agents. The airline, which filed for bankruptcy in December, served 3 routes from Tampa International Airport. Right now, affected travelers should check other airlines for available options.
And new developments tonight. A Citrus County man has been arrested in a gambling conspiracy investigation involving the Osceola County Sheriff. Sheldon Weatherholt is accused of establishing the LLCs for the illegal operation and did business with one of the other 4 co-defendants. Right now, he's in jail, but a judge granted him a bond of $100,000 this morning. Suspended Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez remains in jail on a $1 million bond.
Right now, a substitute teacher working at Jennings Middle School in Thenona, Sassa is accused of showing sexual images to students. Deputies say 22-year-old Chase Rush sent the photos to 4 7th graders using the airdrop feature and showed several others in the classroom. The content included nudity and bestiality. They say he also admitted to showing it to his 12-year-old relative. The sheriff's office says Rush was employed by Kelly Education, a staffing company, and is not a school district employee.
Well, tonight, lawmakers continue debating President Trump's endorsed tax cut and spending plan, and families from across the country now voicing concern about potential cuts to Medicaid in the House-passed bill.
And as 10 Tampa Bay political reporter Aaron Parsegian shows us right now, they're taking their stories to D.C.
When the Lockhart family heads on a trip, there's a little more luggage in tow.
The story is I was born, they found out I couldn't breathe on my own. Got help.
15-year-old Lakota was born with an extremely rare condition.
Has to be on a ventilator. He requires multiple specialists and therapists throughout his life, and it's a lifelong condition. So he's going to need this type of specialized care for his entire life.
He's one